Does not let it slide. Gets the hook and gets revolved.
Oh, the swap to the D.Va here coming out. You know, they decided, you know, maybe the ball, they're going to punish Flaminator there on the ball so much that he decided, you know, maybe I need to be a little bit more mobile here, and is still playing the D.Va, can still kind of play that, like, in and out distracting play style here. You know, checking this hog in the front of his team. Warp over on WVU Tech, getting these picks early on. 2 down for Purdue Purple. That's not looking good, but they respond with the Kitsune Rush to try and gain back the momentum. But no, Warp on WVU Tech is still picking up 4 kills here. And now this is the final stretch going into this map. That's not looking too good here. Oh, going in with a whole hog to try and make sure he pushes people back into the spawn, whether or not they know that he has the High Noon sitting in the back of his pocket. Trying to retaliate as best as he can. Will he be able to get a pick off with it? Yes. The Juno, who was able to just barely get the ult out before her death.
Purdue just barely hanging on here, almost getting full capped, but
still able to turn it back around.
And now they're taking that bot. They say, let's get it far away from there.
So going in here, this next fight, we have the D.Va Bomb coming up for Purdue Purple. The Beat coming out as well. No ults. Oh, never mind. The Nano Boost, sorry, coming for the enemy team for WVU Tech. Whether they go in with that aggressively or not, we shall see.
Now, if you're WVU here, you don't
engaging
really
with the Beat.
And it seems to be working out.
Yeah, no, they just were able to walk in fast with the momentum that they had with the Beat. There's not really much there that you can do when you go in early like that, with no ults really there for WVU to use. They did use the Nano in response to try and keep themselves alive, but it did not work, and now they've switched off of the Ana to the Kiriko.
Honestly, I think they just maybe abused that ult there, the Ana ult, the Nano, to be able to switch to the Kiriko.
Going in there with the Kitsune Rush to engage here, getting that quick pick onto the Cassidy, and then the Hog also being taken out early in the fight. You know, despite the early pick onto Cute Bunny there on Purdue Purple's side, it did not matter. The Kitsune Rush momentum was able to keep them up for the rest of the fight.
Llama Heist playing this very well, keeping the team up, keeping Flaminator above half most of this fight. Suzu comes out, getting a save on the Lucio. The High Noon from Warp looking to get some picks. The D.Va Bomb Sombra ult combo doesn't seem to find any, but the Sombra looking
yeah, no,
to get
unfortunately not. And a Cute Bunny still having held that High Noon there for that long, still getting the pick onto the Soldier there, which is very, very big there. You know, they kind of were just able to surround WVU Tech there with just how mobile the rest of this team is.
Purdue seems to be swinging this back around. You know, they gave up a lot of ground, but they seem to be knocking on WVU's doorstep here. WVU back onto the Reinhardt off of the Roadhog and looking to sort of hold their push, taking out Ice Queen that Lucio early. But Revolve and the D.Va Flaminator still in this. Flaminator does get D-Mech.
Flaminator getting picked off there as well afterwards. Not very good, but they do have the Kitsune Rush here to be able to capitalize on this if they want to, but with how many people went down, that would not ideally be the best use for it. So going down, resetting here. Next fight, they will have that Kitsune Rush to be able to use, but WVU Tech does also have 3, almost 4 ults coming up in response. So this will be an interesting fight to see who hits the Q button first.
Yeah, they got about 107 meters there, but the ult economy is definitely in favor of WVU. They do opt for the Kitsune Rush here
Kitsune
early.
Rush first, yep. The Shatter in response, not really getting anyone, or at least not resulting in any kills here. The Kitsune Rush being used first, you know, ideally you do want to be the one to use an ult like that first, and it did pay off. with the fight win.
Yeah, I think Warp may have also used his ult, Deadeye as well. And we see from WVU the tank swap over to the Ramatra.
Ooh. Yep, wanting to play more, have a little bit more survivability there and be able to walk into the backline freely as much as possible. But no, Flaminator
Getting
able to get
hacked.
the remake on the Moira as well.
And now it's coming around. Final fight for WVU. This is kind of what we just saw earlier, but from the opposite perspective.
Ooh, the quick shot down there onto the soldier, even though he used his visor.
Purdue with the reverse sweep.
Reverse sweep. Beautiful.
What a interesting match. That was something you don't see every day from a push map.
Oh yeah, you don't see reverse sweeps happen too often, and usually I feel like they tend to be very last minute, just like kind of this was. Yeah, no, regardless, there was a lot of active adaptation going on from both sides, a lot of active comp swaps, a lot of active, difference in play, but regardless, I think Purdue Purple stayed pretty consistent throughout that. I think their main thing was just to try to be quick and mobile. They tried out with the ball initially and they were like, oh, they're shutting this down too fast. They're hooking me in. They're sleeping me. They're nading me. That's not good. So let's just switch to the diva and stick to the same strategy. And it paid off in the end.
Adapting to that diva actually was very smart play because you have the mobility, but you also have more opportunities to sort of brawl around point and stick with your team more rather than, on ball, you have tons of mobility, you can go all around the map, but maybe it's a little bit harder to sort of stick and contest the bot on a push map. So I think the diva pick was really smart, and it was evident by the fact that, they were able to completely reverse the tide of that uh, entire game, really.
Pretty much, yeah. That's something that we always love to see especially in push maps, honestly. I feel like people tend to kind of give up really early, especially when they got pushed in so early on.
Mhm.
But they didn't let that falter. They still kept to their play style. They didn't say like, okay, this isn't working. Let's completely switch up. And they committed to what they knew, and it paid off.
Yeah, WVU, it seemed like they almost had it. They used a lot of ults when they were on that point where they were about to completely 3-0 Purdue,
Mm-hmm.
and it sort of shifted that dynamic of the ult economy, and it allowed Purdue to sort of get their push going. They were able to open up, say, with like the offensive Lucio beat to just sort of rush in there, get some picks, and force WVU to spend more time resetting and just taking more time and time to push the bot. So Purdue Purple was able to gain as much ground as they did up until that last fight, and then they were just all it took was just a finish.
For sure, yeah. Real quick, just to kind of catch anyone up on anything they might have missed, we are currently 2-0 in the series, now going to Kings Row. First map also being a clean 2-0 on Lijiang, now this being a clean full cap on New Queens, going into Kings Row now. This will be interesting. We've seen some of the Ryan come out from WVU Tech. We'll see if Purdue Purple, gives into the honorable Ryan v Ryan duel. We don't see those very often anymore.
You love this. Happens.
Absolutely. But it's over the years. I feel like Kings Row has become a lot more adaptable to different play styles. I've seen a lot more people pull out dive comps or even ball comps on Kings Row. So things can always change. We'll see if there are any specific bans that change. Keeping an eye here on the chat really quick.
Now the score might be 2-0, but credit to WVU, they're not out of this by any means.
Not at all.
I'd
Yeah,
argue that that last map was not necessarily the cleanest for Purdue Purple. They almost nearly lost it. WVU definitely has what it takes to put up a good fight here. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they did kind of get swept on Lijiang Tower, but they showed great resilience on uh the push map, New Queen Street, and now it's up to Kings Row, says match point. So WVU if they ready to lock in, I think they could put up a really good fight. So I think Purdue Purple, shouldn't get a little too cocky. I think if they play this smart, it could really go either way.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. It's again, they almost capped there on New Queen Street, but things didn't go out in their favor. There was just like really quick, good, easy fight win that happened just because I think that I believe if that I'm not misremembering, it was the fight where WVU Tech whole hogged into Purdue Purple spawn, and then we came out with some ults, some clutch picks there. I believe that was the same fight where the Juno got picked off as well after ulting. So I feel like I'm not surprised. Sometimes when you are in that final push, sometimes teams tend to get a little overzealous and try to make sure let's make sure they don't leave the spawn by any means necessary. So if anything, I'm not knocking any team down a peg by any means. I'm just saying it could have been a lucky strike. It could have just been a lucky thing that happened to Purdue Purple. But at the same time, we saw them capitalize on that momentum that they gained off of that fight win and be able to push to the very end. So yeah, this is just me trying to say that this could still be a very close fight from both ends.
And yeah, I think a lot of credit to Flaminator on that when they were about to lose that push map for switching to the D.Va. The D.Va was able to eat a lot of actually the whole hog ult, and they were able to really sort of get out of spawn. And then as well, we saw the Cassidy when using the Deadeye getting a pick right out of spawn from the spawn doors.
Absolutely, despite the whole hog trying to push them back in as much as possible. Now we see Purdue Purple coming back with the Zarya here. If I had to guess, because I'm not able to see these bans, unfortunately, if I had to guess, I want to say maybe there was a Sombra ban. I'm just going to guess, but there wasn't, clearly. Because it seems like Sombra's being played now from WVU Tech. So we'll see how this plays out in their favor. The Doomfist coming out as well, so we'll see how that capitalizes on the less mobile people all seen here on the side of Purdue Purple. Very quickly going in here inside past that choke point due to that high mobility that they have here. Not being able to stuff in that choke is going to be a little bit tough. Given that that's an advantage that Purdue Purple's comp kind of has to be able to do. The Doomfist able to get into the backline here, potentially going on the Junkrat if he can, but then not because of the bubble that happened. The trap onto the Sombra! Very unfortunate for her.
Now, see, this is why I like to play Junkrat.
Absolutely.
He's doing God's work here, playing on the side room with a little trap when there's a Sombra going around.
Up the Doomfist getting antied and almost slept there, getting pushed out there, not exactly getting a pick. For a second I thought that the pick that was him, but no, it was the Sombra once again. Cute Bunny not letting him go down without a fight. The Doomfist coming in here to go in on this backline once again. Getting naded, getting pushed out, but this time the pick being taken on him.
I like the Junkrat spam as well. But notice the supports for Purdue. They're able to support each other and be able to use their ults effectively to fight off a diving Doomfist. That was some very good gameplay from them.
Yeah, no, the Sombra getting picked off there once again. This time her trying to take a different angle, but then revolve on the Sojourn. Both DPS on Purdue Purple staying very vigilant of her, knowing that if she can get in on their Ana or their Life Lever, that things could be all over here. Usually it does just only take one pick for a comp like this to crumble. The swap onto the Monkey now to be able to have a little bit more sustainability, potentially with that bubble going in here onto the low ground. The window coming out here from WVU Tech, getting that pick onto Cute Bunny, finally going down after maintaining a strong hold there on that right side. But Revolve coming out with the overclock now in response. The rotation happening as a result of the life grip. The Kitsune Rush coming out from WVU to try and capitalize on this momentum that they have here in the space they have under the point. But Revolve able to get in on the back line. Rotating, going around, and getting two quick picks there that shuts down that Kitsune Rush completely.
Looking to chase the Monkey as well. Revolve got knocked into that side room, kind of got forced
Ooh.
over there, and it worked in his favor. He was able to get behind and hit 2 picks there.
Yeah, the Ana unfortunately going down there as a result of encountering a Sombra in a tight space. That's never too good, but unfortunately also the Riptire getting knocked out before it can get anybody. Revolve also going down here as well. Unfortunately, it seems like this fight's turning out to be a little bit of a stragger, but Flaminator, no, he wants to go in and use that Graviton Surge to get a quick pick to make sure they can still keep this hold, evening out the odds a little bit. I believe both teams are even now as well. Very low HP though. Flaminator goes down after a very good hold and fight there. And it seems like they'll lose this point here.
Flaminator went in there with the boosting himself up with the ult click from Flaminator, or from the Zarya, but just was unable to really get anything in that final fight, you know, especially at that low of health.
Yep, wanting to go in and take this high ground here, at least push off this Sojourn from the high ground, a very dangerous place for her to be. And listening out and watching for this Sombra, pushing her out as much as they physically can, trying to push out and get this Monkey low as well, punish him. But he's able to go back and stick with his team.
Now notice WVU has 3 ults, maybe coming up on 4 here
4,
soon.
yep. Going in here to see. Yeah.
100 charge.
Yep, a lot that can be done there with that 100 charge, but the EMP coming out, getting 4 here in this little narrow space in the back here, trying to still keep up that fight for this high ground. They will end up getting 2 picks off of it and then engaging further with the Primal Rage, chasing after Cute Bunny on the Reaper and finishing off more. Llama Heist coming out with the Tree of Life here to try and maybe sustain and keep up that Zarya as much as they can, because do not forget, Flaminator does have very, very high charge and has been able to keep it this whole time. So he's able to stay up thanks to that Tree of Life, and the Life Weaver staying up this whole time, getting Life Gripped onto the high ground now as well. Still trying to keep up that pace.
Alive.
Yep, it's not easy to take down a high charge Zarya, that's for sure. Yep, still a very good push here from WVU Tech and coming onto this last checkpoint here, almost.
Honestly, he does have grab now too. WVU coming around 1 minute now left. It'll be interesting to see once they reset what they're going to open with on their next push. They're going to have maybe 2 ults this next fight.
Going in with the grab early here in the beginning of this fight to get 3 and then get picks on 2 of them as a result. Very good here with just this little poke fight happening. Flaminator decided it's time to shut them down early as much as possible.
Looking to find this Baptiste.
Yep, and finishing him off to make sure. Now it's in last fight territory here to see how much WVU Tech is able to gather themselves up for this last fight. They do have 2 ults here, potentially maybe coming up on 3 if they're super lucky. With the Visor Kitsune Rush, that could be very, very dangerous here in this kind of long corridor they have going on here. But Cute Bunny standing there with the Nano Boost, going in with the Reaper ult, getting 2. They prepared for this, and they don't even let WVU Tech touch. Very well done here.
Stop by Purdue. Bunny sitting on the Reaper, hiding in up there, waiting to get bubbled and nano to drop down on the unsuspecting WVU team. What a way to finish that round.
You know, very, very beautifully done. That fight there towards the end where it just ended up being the Zarya and the Life Weaver staying alive, you know, the Tree of Life, that just happened to be enough on top of the Life Weaver pocket. Very, very clutch, very, very well done. If that did not happen, then who knows where things would have gone, because I feel like this third point, or the third checkpoint on Kings Road, does tend to be very snowbally in favor of the attacker side. But very, very well done there by Flaminator and Llama Heist there on that fight.
Yeah, huge props to Llama Heist for keeping Flaminator alive there. Using the Tree of Life is all, and then as well using the grip to get him to that high ground. That was some very good gameplay, able to sustain Purdue there and sort of avoid getting sort of team wiped, able to keep the pressure on and be a massive roadblock for WVU as to try to push.
Absolutely. Yeah, now getting set up here, it seems like they've changed their strategy a little bit, WVU, and are on the Hog and the May to see if they can hold this choke point as much as they physically can. Let's see how they do in this first fight. While they're scouting out each other's comps here, the Sombra sitting there on the high ground, waiting to see if they can capitalize someone. The Reaper going in with the aggressive teleport with the bubble there to get some early charge there for the Zarya, already at 40 charge very early in on this fight, going all the way up to 80 now as a result of this just very quick walk in and engage. No one getting caught out with the classic hog hook or the May wall here. The May wall actually coming out in defense of WVU Tech's May here, but the whole team getting pushed back very, very quickly. That aggressive teleport in with the bubble actually paid off extremely well.
Now, I do like that May pick to try to sort of separate this highly concentrated Purdue team. It just didn't seem to be enough to combat this up-in-your-face, rushing in playstyle from Purdue with the Reaper TPing in and Flaminator just holding W.
Oh my gosh, barely getting out there on very, very little HP. Cute Bunny on the Reaper there. It just seems like they're absolutely capitalizing on this Reaper going in aggressively and bubbling him in to get that high Zarya charge and then following up. That is a very tried and true strategy here that we've seen even in earlier versions of Overwatch 2 gameplay. Yep, going in again with the bubble, getting him out barely at 49 HP, but no, following up with the Fire Strike. Cute Bunny unfortunately getting punished there. You know, it seems like maybe the team will have to back up, but not without Flaminator still getting out with a lot of his charge on the Zarya. And almost all ults coming up for Purdue Purple here.
Yeah, it seems like no ults have really come out yet, so the next major fight is going to break out. That first major ult fight is really going to set the tone around this first bend.
Llama Heist though unfortunately going down, but the Kiriko also going down early. That too, Kiriko with the Kitsune rush here that they cannot use during this fight, so it's still left to be seen where things go from here. 2 more picks get traded, but unfortunately Zarya going down will be a huge downward spiral for Purdue Purple in this fight here, so they need to reset.
Flaminator already low there, and Goomba, the Sombra, coming in from behind, just offered enough distraction time for the Reinhardt to get the final blow there.
Ooh, this will be interesting here. You know, Cute Bunny, going in there to try and get a cheeky flank, maybe Death Blossom, but getting spotted by the Kiriko. Very unfortunate here, so we'll see how they go. Still wanting to go in with the aggressive teleport into the bubble. It's been reliable so far, so surely it'll happen again. Pushing up the BAP off that high ground. Going in with the overclock as well to try and apply pressure from the front, as well as the grab to try and catch out that Reinhardt. The High Noon coming out in response with the Kitsune and the Shatter. This is an absolutely incredible ult fight happening here with trades. The Tree of Life coming out here as well to try and keep themselves alive in this little corner. Yeah, it just seemed like with the momentum of when these ults were being used, you know, not enough picks were had early enough from Purdue Purple, even though they engaged with their ults first. And the Kitsune Rush momentum is just too strong, in my opinion. It is so strong to be able to just walk in on the Sombras here, lurking in the backline to see if they can get a cheeky pick here on one of these supports on Purdue Purple's side. We'll see if they're able to do so. Meanwhile, Flaminator going in here with the Reaper Death Blossom to see if they can get a pick, at least taking out the Immortality Field and being able to take up that bit of space.
And that's what they needed. They were able to find the entire team. Cute Bunny 69 just getting in their face and saying, hey, everyone follow me. And the follow-up from Purdue was on point, especially from Flaminator, able to get in there and make use of the space created by the Death Blossom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're just able to disperse this comp that is trying to play together as a unit, but this amplification matrix coming out from WVU Tech to try and push back Purdue Purple from the cart as much as physically possible. Walking back here, but still able to hold their bearings here, and not only that, but the Zarya's high charge, once again, she can push in and break down your walls. Going in here, the Sombra trying to apply pressure from the back here. It seems like getting that pick on the Llama Heist onto the Kiriko, that's not too good, but Cute Bunny still holding this high ground here. Getting, unfortunately, punished there by the BAT, finishing him off on the high ground there. Maybe this is where Purdue Purple crumbles a little bit and does have to take a hard reset. Revolve, they're getting a quick pick onto the Sombra, but still, it looks like it'll be a quick reset here for Purdue Purple.
Now, they do still have a minute and a half left. That is probably time for one last good push, maybe even two.
Possibly
And they
two.
do have about four ults coming up. They didn't commit too much there. But going against WVU, they're also coming around four. This will be interesting to see who opens first and with what.
Yep, the Sombra sitting there in the backline. She does have EMP after all, so that could be dangerous, but Revolve coming in to threaten
Deadeye.
from the front with the Deadeye. The EMP coming out to cancel it, though, getting 5! Huge EMP there from WVU Tech.
Oh, wow.
Revolve, though, still able to get that Sombra pick since she was sitting there in the backline, but the Shatter able to follow up there. As a result, huge EMP play from WVU Tech Sombra, but there's still technically time left on the clock if they're able to get a quick enough touch. They do have 3, almost 4 ults here, Purdue Purple does. With the classic tried and true Reaper aggressive TP strat, they could very easily at least get a touch here, and it seems like they absolutely will. There's plenty of time. Now, it is to see what these ults will do and if their timing will be enough to get these early picks. They already get one at the start of this fight, that being the Sombra. That will be a huge pick for Purdue Purple. Going in here, able to hide behind the cart, wait out that Deadeye as much as possible. Now that it's gone, the grab, able to get 3 of them! Very quick and easy from Flaminator. That combo with the nano boost, that'll be enough. That's all they needed, folks. Beautifully done there.
Looking back on that second to last fight, neither team wanted to commit too many ults. Purdue only used Deadeye. WVU responded with the Ryan Shatter as well. Before that, he used a Sombra ult. But that left Purdue at the advantage with the ult economy. Looking at this play of the game, the nanoed Flaminator grab, able to pick up everyone, or I think at least 3 there. And wow, what a way to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 3-0 there. You know, good games over to WVU Tech. Very, very well done. Well played by Purdue Purple. Yeah, no, that's a wrap. Very, very clean 3-0 here. And yeah, I mean, any other closing thoughts you might have?
I mean, it was one exciting game to watch, that's for sure. They, especially, I think even like the map, the push map, New Queen Street, there's just such an interesting dynamic between these two teams, how they were able to play off each other and then adapt as they saw fit, making tank changes, especially from both sides. We saw a lot of changes from the WVU Tech tank as well. And I don't know, I think just both teams were keeping track and just exploring each other very well. The different like ways to poke and use ults to create space. And I think Purdue just had the upper hand most of that game in keeping track of that ult usage especially, and knowing when to lead in and when to use more defensively. And I think they did, both teams played very well, but Purdue just those little mechanical things they definitely had the advantage of there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see how they continue this going forward. You know, having casted some of their earlier games as well, or at least one game I was able to witness was one of the in-house games between Purdue Purple and Indigo. It definitely seems like there's been a lot of improvement, you know, as the season's gone on. You know, the team's definitely looking stronger and more cohesive, which is lovely to see. So yeah, no, we'll see how things continue forward. Thank you guys so much for watching this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, you know, some matches yet to come later this week on other channels. But as for Purdue Purple, I believe their next game will be next week. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us. This has been Purdue Purple versus WVU Tech NECC Week 6, and Purdue winning the match 3-0. So, thank you all.
Yep. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.